The dismantling of this 400-year-old empire cut by half the territory ruled by whites and brought in new black governments determined to smash white supremacy in the rest of southern Africa.
By the end of the 1970s, anthropology had become deeply concerned with ongoing post-colonial and neocolonial conditions of domination, systemic injustices, abuses of power, and inequalities perpetuated by state governments, global industry, and other institutions. Could field research explain how certain groups acquired authority and held on to power? What were the implications of this power on lives, bodies, and cultures? In developing their approach to fieldwork, anthropologists were inspired by ideas and theories generated in adjacent disciplines, ideas and theories that had sweeping influence across the social sciences and humanities. Some of these looked to the role culture played in the perpetuation of power structures. Others looked to institutional practices. All help to explain how the power and authority of some came to be accepted by many, and how outright force was not always needed.
Regina George. How do I even begin to explain Regina George?
Regina George is flawless.
She has 2 Fendi purses and a silver Lexus.
I hear her hair is insured for $10,000.
I hear she does car commercials in Japan.
Her favorite movie is Varsity Blues. One time she met John Stamos on a plane, and he told her she was pretty.
One time she punched me in the face. It was awesome.
Hegemony identifies how culture can be coercive and oppressive when a ruling class gains a totalizing control over public discourse and ideology. Through omnipresent norms, symbols, and values, the dominance of those in power comes to feel natural and inevitable. People aspire to these values rather than revolt against them. While anyone who has ever felt the sting of adolescent ostracism for being different has a visceral understanding of hegemony, the concept has broader economic, political, and cultural ramifications. Those with economic and political power control representation and silence dissenting views and worldviews in order to legitimize their own wealth and/or authority. Meanwhile, a feeling of inferiority, voicelessness, and attended powerlessness is insidiously instilled in those who don't fit in or agree.
Qual è buona?
Lei.
Perché è buona?
Perché ha gli occhi celesti.
Quale è cattiva? Perché è cattiva?
Perché è tutto nero.
E qual è la bambola che ti somiglia di più?
While cultural hegemony maintains an oppressive economic and political power structures, being able to identify it and counter it can create change.
Wish I could
The new trailer for The Little Mermaid is generating extraordinary reaction, especially among black girls.
She's black! Oh, that's a black mermaid! She's like me!
Many of them are mesmerized watching a cherished fairy tale character who looks just like them. 22-year-old actress Halle Bailey stars as Ariel in Disney's new live-action film, and she looks nothing like the animated Little Mermaid with red hair from the original 1989 classic.
Wish I could be part of that world.
Parents have been posting these charming videos to social media, many saying how important it is that their daughters see themselves reflected on the big screen.
Hegemony can be established with regards to an issue, a class, a cultural value system, and more. But how are such power differentials perpetuated in a society over time? Pierre Bourdieu, a French sociologist, found the answer not in lofty ideas or structural theories, but in everyday practices of mind and body. Bourdieu thought power, and disempowerment became absorbed and unconsciously ingrained through routine repetition day after day after day. The way individuals are trained and conditioned to move through the world by their society, community, and culture is known as habitus. Your habitus could come from explicit training and conscious practice, or your habitus could come from less formal cues and patterns.
The habitus is the way these social likelihoods become codified in our heads within our own psychologies. Different cultures, different classes, different industries have different habiti. They determine what's reasonable and unreasonable action within their fields, which then guides or restrains personal thought or action. We develop, consciously or unconsciously, different strategies for organising our future actions. Language, interests, fashion, ways of speaking, walking, our routines. And a lot of this is transmitted from parent to child at an early age. This means then that behaviour isn't just rational, it's conditioned by the possibilities that are presented to us.
This idea of habitus can also transfer over into our minds. A mental habitus is an ingrained framework, a symbolic structure, or a belief which is no longer questioned, which has become automatic, which is seen as natural, and which is enacted in society or culture. Physical and mental habitus can overlap and enforce each other, and this cultural training can shape and embody power differentials and hierarchies, which are also taken to be natural. Habitus delimits what we think might be possible.
Save me! Save me! Save me!
We've seen with Taylor in that first breakthrough, the bobbing and weaving, the slipping, but returning to center line, Serrano able to time that. And there again! Nice shot! Nice shot! Taylor here in round one! Serrano's power on display!
Far more than just a habit, then, habitus is the way cultural structures of thought and action are embodied and internalized. But, as with hegemony, since habitus is so ingrained and internalized, it can become hard to recognize it as cultural shaping or social control, and therefore hard to change. It is this process of the internalization of power structures that became central to the ideas of our next thinker, another Frenchman, Michel Foucault. Let's conduct a micro-autoethnography of power. Reflect on your daily habits. Look at something you do every day and think of how it may have been shaped by state or institutional power, globalized industry, or cultural hegemony. Does this reflection make you think or feel differently about that habit? If you want to learn more about the anthropology of power as it refers to literal imprisonment, stay tuned for our AnthroDorphins videos on prisons and mental illness and confinement.